get upset on the internet. You're assaulted.
Okay, I found the clip, Commander. But I'm certain the cyber squids at the Tube who manage copyright infringement will shoot us out of the sky and black out our communications and prevent our signal from reaching the sponsors from Planet X.
I know, but we've done everything by the book here. Every clip we're going to use is file footage to support our critique and commentary of this week's evaluation.
But the other part? You know, the,
Up. Don't get your wires tangled. All right, little buddy, we're going to be fine. I had a conversation with the Tube team. We have an understanding.
Is that what all the yelling was about?
Okay, fine. I complained and basically they copped to not doing anything about anything. Anyway, I think I have a way to circumvent those robo-squids from finding us out, and it's my secret weapon.
Okay, Commander, if you say so.
Okay, folks, welcome to the Retro Station 1989. I'm Commander Dan, the commander and lone human inhabitant aboard the Retro Station, and this is License to Play. It's a show where we basically evaluate old licensed games and find out whether or not they have a license to play, see if they're any good or not. The licensed game can be anything, based on a sport, a TV show, a movie, a comic book. Hell, we've done it about soft drinks and fast food, too. Listen, if they made it about a licensed game and they made a retro game about it, we tell you whether or not it's worth playing. All right, now, we battle aboard the Retro Station occasionally. We battle with the copyright squid bots, and we battle them with logic and the genuine hope that we can simply let it be known that our historical/context portions of our show contain a snippet that might be pounced upon. We know this, and yet we will battle. And I think I figured out how not to get totally struck down by the copyright squid bots that the Tube people have, and it really sucks. But we'll only know if and when they decide to mute our broadcast or clip out the footage. So, if you see something weird in this footage where it goes bah, 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 that's the squid bots. And that's the YouTube team, the TubeTube team, doing what they do.
Well, let's hope they don't fire their copyright strike missiles at us, Commander. The Retro Station wasn't built for combat, you know.
Don't sweat it, Cambot Jr. And today, we're going retro, and we begin before the era of classic video games even began. In the year 1974. Disco, big hair, bigger personalities, disco, drugs, pinball, disco, Shaw Brothers Kung Fu movies, and disco. In the country of Jamaica, Carl Douglas was born, then moved to the United Kingdom. That's London, England, to you and me here in the States. And Carl loved two things: soul music and kung fu movies. The 70s. I only vaguely remember those years, not only because of the pinball, drugs, and disco, but because I was -1 years old in 1974. And I don't have clear memories of Jack Diggity Bone until probably 1980 or so when I started kindergarten. But what I do remember is that everyone had a perm. Not my dad. He had a Prince Valiant yuppie hippie do, and a sweater vest and a Burt Reynolds style mustache. Very 80s. He kept it Chess King. My uncle, however, worked at Burger King, so he kept it like Marty McFly's older brother in Back to the Future, only with more 70s in it. And no, I can't show you a picture because I don't want to get a beating. Anyway, Carl Douglas, late of London, England, was a session musician for Pi Records, and in the 70s worked with bands like Gonzales, who were huge in the dance club scene in the 70s, and when British Indian musician Biddu needed vocals for a track called I Want to Give You My Everything, he asked Douglas if he had an idea for a B-side. And you know what that B-side was? Well, he came at him with the track licensed for today's evaluation. Alright, I have to admit, we're stretching the format here by evaluating a title that isn't necessarily based or licensed from the song we've just talked about. But once you see this one in action, you'll understand why it's clear that this game couldn't be possible, wouldn't be the same, without the one-hit wonder attached to it. So in the 70s, China was beginning to attempt to normalize its trade and communications with everyone else in the world, the UK and America especially. And while their exports were mostly rated among all kinds of goods like electronics and such, the hottest of their exports at the time was entertainment. The Shaw Brothers studio, responsible for the Five Deadly Venoms, King Boxer, and these guys, the Wu-Tang Clan, well, basically the movie that inspired them, the 36th Chamber of Shaolin, the Kung Fu movies were huge. They were so big in the 70s and 80s, some theaters in Brooklyn and downtown New York were dedicated to showing these films back to back on an endless loop. and most syndicated TV networks dedicated some part of their weekend to kung fu movies. And then there was the Kung Fu Theater on USA Networks. It was huge. So when this mania over martial arts started, right in '74, Carl Douglas created an intro riff to a song that was not just a one-hit wonder. It was so iconic that once you heard it, the entire song would begin playing on a loop in your brain. Don't believe me? And that's all I'm willing to play of that masterpiece. Seriously, in my script for B-roll, it's labeled as clip that will get me copyright flagged by the Tube Squids. Let's see if they come sniffing around anyways. Anyway, Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting is the track, and I bet you'll be humming it to yourself throughout this evaluation. Even though the game basically owes more to the Kung Fu cinema scene than the song, I just wanted the sponsors from Planet X and you folks to know about this hidden gem of an Xbox game. Everybody was Kung Fu fighting. Everyone was fast as lightning. Everybody was a little bit frightening.
Commander Dan, that's not how the song goes.
I know that! Don't you think I know that? I just sit over here and sing like I'm tone deaf to prevent the damn squids from...
Squidbot scanning detected, boss.
Ugh! Well, anyway, let's talk about the inspiration for today's evaluation and the creators of this game, and both will probably surprise you. Kung Fu Theater. Movies with action, humor, and very bad dubbing, along with a notable funky and kind of silly song, were the secret sauce for the folks at Just Add Monsters. Well, you probably know them better as Ninja Theory, the folks behind the controversial DMC, that Devil May Cry that nobody liked because Dante was not right and nothing was right and everyone hated it. Or the launch title for the PS3, Heavenly Sword, which critics loved and was really actually kind of fun, but nobody bought it and so it was kind of ignored. But the award-winning and visually stunning Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was also on offer. So now, these folks know their games. But they started their storied careers with today's masterpiece, Kung Fu Chaos. I told all of you once, I am a karate man! That's right. I have the swiftness, the thickness, I have the moves. Alright, I know my stuff. I punch through glacier ice. But I'm ashamed to admit that I don't know much or, well, anything, honestly, about Kung Fu. But that's why I have this! Kung Fu Chaos! It was a title for the original Xbox. A 4-player beat-em-up. Minigame... you know what? It's kind of hard to describe Kung Fu Chaos. Think Smash Brothers meets Mario Party meets Kung Fu Theater. But does it have a license to play? Well, let's take a look. Just Add Monsters design team, Tamim Antionades, Nina Kirstensen, and Mike Ball created Kung Fu Chaos. It was a rough go, if this interview on NME.com is any indication. When asked, Tamim described it this way. We were working from Mike's spare bedroom. We didn't have anything. We didn't even have computers that you could develop on. I spent 3 months working on a design document for a game called Kung Fu Chaos. It was a Kung Fu game based around Jackie Chan movies. At the time, those Hong Kong movies were copying Western movies, but adding Kung Fu to it, and I thought, right, there's an idea. Make a story about a crazy director with a safety-last approach to emulate American Hollywood movies using Kung Fu actors, and make a chaotic 4-player multiplayer game. I created a big design document. It was very graphical, very pretty. Not walls of text, just all diagrams and storyboards. I showed that around to people. The problem was, we'd have Disney executives and people from LucasArts come and visit us in this spare bedroom and go, "What the F is this?" And at the time, quirky wasn't what it was on the menu in most places, or today. You can put out a quirky game about a penguin who delivers pizza to people in Antarctica. And guess what? It'd probably be an okay game. Hell, I'd probably play that game. And not only was it not on the menu in most places, on the Xbox, they just recently came out with their console, about 2 years beforehand. And while they had third-party support from US developers and designers, Sony as a brand in consoles was a known entity. So if you were developing for the Xbox and it was quirky, meh. So this game kind of came and went, and its sock puppet aesthetic mixed with kung fu look of old action flicks didn't exactly pull attention away from Halo 2 and other big-name games. But no matter. The Just Add Monsters team morphed into Ninja Theory, and everything worked out in the end for them. after they mortgaged their homes and struggled with getting games published, that is. They even created Enslaved, Journey to the West. They really love Journey to the West, in fact, because there's a lot of that in this game. So, this game began with the idea of, what if there was a kung fu flick director who was a safety optional and bigger, better action type of guy? What would life on his set be like for the lead and the hapless stunt people performing for him? Also, the names get a little groaner-worthy on the pun ends of things, but the types of character represented are spot on for folks who love kung fu movies or exploitation movies. Well, let's take a look. We got the director, Shao Ting. Get it? He's Shao Ting. You know, he's the hyperactive, loudmouth, and jerky director. Well, he brought all the top action heroes from around the world, beginning with Master Shou Yu. He's an elderly martial arts master. Shou Yu. Get it? Show you how to kick? Huh.
Funny joke.
It's not funny.
Yeah. Ninja Fuhaya. Actually, it's Ninja Fuhaya. And the Ninja Fuhaya is actually a pun based on the 91 movie called Ninja for Hire. It's actually a good action flick. You should check it out. Monkey, a parody of the Monkey King from Journey to the West, again the Journey to the West shows up, became immortal after urinating on the Mountain King's favorite tablecloth. It's a direct rip. It's not a pun. Lucy Cannon, it's a parody of blaxploitation heroines like Foxy Brown and Cleopatra Jones. No, not that. The pun is on a loose cannon. No, not that loose cannon. But hell yeah, that movie kicks ass. Check that movie out too. Shui Tan Sauer is a young martial artist who, you know what, food puns? Who are you, game? Weird Al? There's Chop and Sticks, a samurai and baby. Well, they're like Lone Wolf and Cub, but yeah, good one. Chopsticks. And Unlockables, Candy Roll, Roller Skating Blonde, Captain Wonton, an overweight luchador, Wrestler by Day, Justice Avenger by Rest of Day. More food puns. Look, the only good Weird Al imitators, Mr. Game, Console Wars. Take a look.
Baby, heck, you know I gotta piss on heroes wearing capes. Ooh, I eat asparagus, the stranger my people smell. Because the more I drink tea, the more I can't be on their face.
Shao Ting is also a hidden character, the film's loud and obnoxious director. He also serves as the final boss of the game. He sees himself as a womanizer, and after creating Kung Fu Chaos the movie, with no plot whatsoever, he creates an experimental art film where he runs around naked for 2 hours. That's great. The game is broken up over several stages of beat-em-up action. That auto-scroll, you know, a lot like the Ninja Gaiden arcade game, is kind of annoying, but also it makes it fun when you're playing in 4 players. Your goal in each level is to put on the best show for Shao by beating the crap out of as many enemies as possible, using items in the level as a weapon, and sometimes just innocent people waiting around for their food or eating their noodles. All the while, you've got Shao Ting. Shao Ting. Oh, I get it. Shouting.
Funny joke.
It's not funny.
Anyway, some levels, you're running away from the collapse of the scenery, sometimes you're battling against a computer in mini-games, or rescuing the hapless stunt folk being thrown out of the set and tumbling to their bitter ends, or getting squashed by a cow. Thank you, Kung Pao, for that joke. Each character has combos in combat and a unique super move, and best of all, the taunts. Each character, to power up their super move, needs to hurl insults at the characters they're beating down for each scene. The levels begin with standard kung foolishness and sets you'd recognize from your favorite flicks. Docks, junk boats, and an alien spaceship? Well, there are a couple modes. Ninja Challenge, the single-player mode that lets you fight through a bunch of enemies in movie-themed sets, including Titanic and Jurassic Park, and Independence Day, and by doing so, you unlock the multiplayer maps and hidden characters, which gives this game replayability out the yin-yang. No pun intended. Oh, I'm kidding. Maybe pun intended. Totally pun intended. And does it rep the license well? Well, since it's more an homage than a direct license, I'll just let you know this. The game is insanely fun with 4 players. It's great fun when you're by yourself. And I'll just recap the opening's first couple of seconds, and the song that introduces the game. Okay, enough of that. So the question remains, does Kung Fu Chaos by Just Add Monsters / Ninja Theory for the original Xbox have a license to play? Of course it does! This game, top to bottom, is fun, funny, cute and clever, and if you like Kung Fu movies, and you love that song, you know one I can't talk about because the squid bots will kill us all, then yes, Kung Fu Chaos is for you. And I think you probably pick it up for $10. I think I bought mine for $5 at a retro fair. So there we go. Folks, this game definitely has a license to play, but next week's game, we're going to be digging deep into the well of human tragedy next week. For this would be a license that ought to be the greatest game ever made. And on this system, the Xbox, it should have been one of the best games ever thought about being made. But no. No. It's as if some hidden directive in the universe made this game the worst frickin' thing anyone could possibly try to play. Godspeed, everyone, and we'll see you next time. If you like what you saw today, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to know when I'm doing it again, hit subscribe and the bell and all that nonsense. And hey, if you hated what I did, listen, you might become part of the show. Somebody said some crap about my lighting, which I fixed, by the way. The lighting's better now. And they said some things about me not being on the show, and I said, no, that's not how it's going to go. But I put it in the script. And hey, who knows, if you have suggestions for retro license games you'd like me to check out, let's find out if your favorites have a license to play. Comment down below. And also, catch me on twitch.tv/RetroStation1989. That's where you're going to find Commander Dan streaming games, modern ones, retro ones. I just got done playing Toy Story 2, and you know what? It wasn't that bad. It was actually kind of great. So, like I said on this broadcast, but more than that, and more than I've ever said in the past, or will ever say in the future, remember to always, always, always stay retro. Peace.
Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult. You're a salt adult. Get upset on the internet.